Yes, that's how.
So that might, and then that way, because otherwise you're gonna have to have that whole.
Parking, parking, as the race is popular, parking is doing the burden.
Yeah,
We just have to deal with it and eventually come to a different solution, but, it's not as permanent because. 100 people are showing these races, and their families, so parking is an issue. That's normal.
yeah,
Figure it out.
they park on the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not all bad.
They can park, you can let them know too, they can park in the county parking lots, right on Argentine.
I'm just saying, what? No matter what building it is.
That would be, by the courthouse. That's a lot of parking for, I mean, if they're.
Yeah, they were parking cars and that just got the island.
Yeah. So. And then since the park should be available for use. The Hotel de Paris parking lot will be,
Over here.
uh,
Yeah.
We gotta go through it around.
Yeah.
Because last year you guys used that spot because Strauss Park was all messed up, I think. Maybe not.
I don't think
maybe
we did.
it
That part, I'm familiar with that part, but I suppose like for next year, I'd recommend, or even this year, have a city manager where the parking is that we can post it. Because right now he was rolling town and Park Road being a spot,
Yeah,
and there's designated spots, maybe there's ones that we don't know about that we can direct them to. There's this core group of people that we communicate with, and then there's all the free radicals that roll in one out. So the people that we can talk to, some Park over here, we need the people rolling last minute.
I'm sure somewhere we have a decent map, but hopefully in a couple of weeks, we're gonna have our new. Marketing coordinator on board too, so that'll help with community funds as far as the town goes. So,
I heard Jen left,
yeah,
and I heard she left before she left. I don't know what's going on, I hope issues there, but.
she's working out the summit now, so, yeah.
It's weird, because she ended up going to her, one of my bar manager's wife.
Yeah,
He didn't know who she was until he came around. Like,
yeah, and then all of a sudden the connections are made.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I think you're first on the agenda, yes, you are, so.
Then you guys figure, get closer numbers, you got, it was only $150 in labor for us.
Yeah, I got that email. I haven't, didn't have time to hear
A little bit of.
it. Hoping that rises to the top. So, I'll get it this week.
Yeah. It should be a little bit of fee in there, for you get actually using your facility. Like,
Oh, yeah, no,
not just raw cost of goods, you gotta pay in and you gotta pay.
yeah, we're just gonna do that. We're just gonna do, I think just material.
Okay.
I'll talk to you before I finally.
So the sound should be better. We're a little bit more amplified. I don't know if you can hear it, but Ross Solomon came and helped, and so yeah. The sound's gonna be better.
We get a flow, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Patton is gonna be doing it for us too.
Oh, and Bobby Hamilton is gonna come and talk about it.
Okay.
So we're not gonna add him next week.
Is the man still at that?
Yeah, comes back tomorrow.
I know Paul's on his way, so. Same type thing.
We were really burning through our cash. Yes. It's a-
It's Muncie. Stop it.
Sorry, that's funny.
Okay, so we have Jessica. Virtually, can you hear us and everything, Jessica?
Yes, I can hear you. Can I be heard?
Yeah, we can really, yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, look at that, yes.
Yeah, it's on.
Check, sorry.
Do you want me to talk to test?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll talk at a normal volume to test. Good morning.
That sound good, or what do you guys
Yeah,
think out there?
that's good.
Okay, just let me know if you need
Yeah.
it.
All right, I'm gonna mute now. Thank you.
Folks, we're waiting on one more member to show up so that we have a quorum, so just be patient, please.
No.
And then we have Cass's. Cass Patton. That is good.
I think Bob is coming, you said?
Yeah. Justin must be out of town or something.
He's out too.
Okay. Gary,
No. Well, wait,
I mean, not necessarily for today's meeting, but,
for Tuesday?
well, or maybe
I'm not really,
do, put something together for us, for here, for like in June, so we can look at it.
Yes.
before it goes.
yes,
Would that make more sense?
yes,
Okay,
yeah, the interviews here, like,
that's okay.
my extra bandwidth.
Since the dude stepped up for us.
I've just got to, I've got to finish the elimination research. You know, for the extra, I mean, that's,
Okay,
No Paul's on the bus. Where she is. I have the car.
get the cameras, I put the satellite out and see where it is. So funny, I was driving down, I was seeing right across from, you know, there's Buckley Apartments, and there's that huge rock, you know, like where the loop railroad goes up. And there's something on the rock, and I look, and it's a little kid, he must be with us, the bus, did you? see it?
so.
And he's laying on it. You know,
He's just all out.
curled up in his hood, you know. kind of
Was he
thing.
cold or something?
Days, years, waiting for the bus.
Of us, yeah.
A big cold rock.
Yeah.
And Joe's kid on the going.
Oh, it's kind of funny. It's cute. At least he's out of the way.
He didn't answer.
Well. We don't. There?
Well, I know Paul's on his way.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's the thing. I talked to him before I drove over. I drove over and ordered
Go
some.
down. You could, yeah, go down and see if I see him walking down the sidewalk, so. I'll tell him one. Or does it?
I know.
What is it? We need to burrow. Yeah. I thought at first that they rode the burrows, but then quickly they didn't, but that would be.
They do for some things, like they do these, it's kind of popular to do these borough basketball things in the Midwest, they train the borough to walk around in the gym, you know?
Okay, yeah.
A little strange.
Crazy. Borough basketball. Do you run the race?
Normally,
How far is it?
this one's 8 miles.
You're back to Empire?
Yeah, not the Empire, we used to do that, but it goes left of Hard Creek.
Do we have, like? Just think we could go through, we have action to take on Steve stuff or no?
I mean, about the, I guess the fees, maybe, it'll.
We pretty much need all of us here to do any of this.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, Jessica, we're just waiting for one more person. But we're excited to meet you.
Yeah, no problem. Zooming in makes it a lot. Thank you. It's very helpful.
Memorial Day coming up. And your grand opening coming up,
Mhm.
right, 24?
24.
Is it done?
Oh, I didn't.
With the kitchen,
Yeah.
there's one more curtain to put out.
Oh, but I mean, otherwise it's there.
Yeah, to hook up the ice maker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
It's pretty much ready. We're using it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Use a microwave to warm up your lunch.
Mhm. We have a dishwasher.
Ooh.
Spoiled.
A new restaurant in town.
No, the, over at Hotel de Paris Museum, we put in what we're calling a landing kitchen. There's one. And it's just to facilitate catering.
Nice, yeah.
And so, so it's mostly just a prep space and a place to stash your stuff while you're executing an event.
You go high teas over there?
We have in the past, but not recently, but that has come back around because, I'm sorry, late. Grace Episcopal used to do teas during Christmas market, but they stopped doing that. It's too much work for them. And so they kind of want to pass that to us.
Ooh, so you want to do better.
Well, or more often,
Yeah.
but I called on the Colonial Dave staff for that. You know, paid staff.
Historical.
So, oh, that'd be good too. Hey, Paul. Hi.
Sorry, let's get back on.
This is it.
Oh, these are-
So we waited because now we have a forum
Amanda is still in Spain.
and Justin's out.
I'm so sorry, everyone in the audience for holding you up.
It is
Oh,
8:11 a.m. on Wednesday, May 3rd, 2023. Calling the Georgetown Business Promotion Commission meeting to order. May I have a roll call, please?
Mary Smith. Here. Greg Abrahamson.
Here.
Kevin Kahar
Present.
and Paul
Here. It looks like we dropped our signal.
Bowe. I know it's coming back.
Okay, should we wait a moment?
They can still see us. but
Okay,
we can't
all right.
see them.
Okay.
I just came up, sorry.
Oh, that's just a signal. Jessica, are you still there?
Yeah, sorry, I'm still here.
Good, thank you.
And I think Cass was signing, or signed in too, so.
Okay.
May I have, an agenda approval? I think there was something that we wanted to add. Let's add Bob Hamilton and an update about Strauss Park.
Can we do it, maybe after Jessica, do a general conversation about meeting attendance
Sure,
for members?
sounds good.
All.
I'll make a motion to the agenda as amended.
We have a second.
Second.
Okay, it's been seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So audience business, members of the audience will have 5 minutes to present any matter of concern to the commission. No official action may be taken at this time. Those viewing on television may phone in comments 303-569-2555, extension 7, or use the Zoom application. Do we have any audience business?
We,
I'm on the agenda.
Okay,
so I think Cass is on too, and she might
I
have.
said she was driving and she was gonna get to her computer shortly. She left a message, she sent a message over the chat.
That's fine.
Oh, that she's listening right now, she's at home computer shortly.
and Mike?
Okay.
Just want to make an introduction, Mike Huggins, resident, and just want to be oriented with, this group. I brought my attention that it exists and, might just continue on as a spectator, but hopefully look to participate at some point.
Great, thanks for attending. Doesn't look like we have any new business owners. Anybody aware of any new businesses opening in the last month?
What is it?
No, okay. Let's go ahead and get into new and unfinished business. Mr. Inderhouse, thank you for being so patient today. You're on the agenda, you're number 1, so take it away.
Yeah, so Stephen Riss, I'm representing the Clear Creek County Pack Borough Race. The format this year is exactly the same as the past few years. Our intentions are to have a fun and safe event and in turn promote the community. Last year, probably about 500 family, friends and guests. And actual people who did the race showed up for the race, and it's getting bigger and every year. There was even some videos that went viral, so it does promote the community, and we have some ideas how to actually get some international exposure for next year, as pepper racing is having a surge in popularity. So in turn, we're asking for some funds to help promote the event.
Okay. I think everybody here is familiar with the event. I will reveal that it's probably my favorite day of the year. Sorry, Christmas market. Close second. And I'm even bringing family in from out of town this year to see it. So yes, it definitely does spur visitations. Thank you. All right, do you have an ask of any sort?
It was the same as the past few years. I believe it was $500. I know there's some conversation to follow about the fees and how it all works out. We'll take whatever you have to offer that makes it a win-win. To just use it to nonprofits, so just use it for the event. To promote the event.
Okay.
Do you have the budget in front of you? Do you know what we budgeted for this year?
Let's see.
I don't think it's detailed on
Yeah, it's not
here. I was kind of looking for that too.
I'd like to get it.
35,000 special events.
I'd like to chat a little bit, take a step back here to past conversation that we've had on this commission about the value of waiving fees and then making cash donations. And so, Steve, are you asking us to waive any fees?
There's the Strauss Park fee, and then there's a street closure fee, as I understand. Those are the two that I know of. So I know it's a previous conversation to come, but it doesn't make too much sense to give us cash 500 and then charge fees for.
Yeah, that's exactly where. we're
Yeah,
at.
so you, I don't need part of that, because like I said, all I can say is we'll take whatever you have
Okay.
to give, and it just goes back, hopefully, to the community somehow, some way.
Yeah,
But we do have the ability to do that.
So the street closure fee is $250,
okay,
and we were thinking, we need that fee for our, you know.
to pay personnel.
Yeah, the park permit is $150, and we're able to waive that for nonprofits, so.
So
That
that
means
means
we
when you
have-
say we're able to waive it.
The town.
The town, and that's an administrative decision,
It's written in code that nonprofits, that it can be waived.
but who makes that decision? Does Code say who makes that decision?
Well, the people did originally by voting for the town, so they could change the code.
I mean, it's-
Well, I'm just asking,
It just, it's waived.
is that a, oh, it is waived?
It's waived for nonprofits in Stroke Park,
It
right?
is,
So, yeah, so,
okay,
Yeah.
so it's not a decision that gets made, it's not.
so it's the street closure fee that we just need to take into consideration when there's an ask for money, so it's not like here and then.
Right, so I move that we give $750 to the Rural Race Association. Is that what you mean?
Clear Creek Gas Association.
The Clear Creek Gas Association for their event this year to offset the waiving of the fee that we can't offset.
Yeah, I second that, so to clarify, $750
Say,
I probably said it poorly.
oh, that's okay, I mean, I get the gist of it.
What I'm trying to do is if they need the $250 and it's going into another department, and we're pulling the
Right.
$250 out of our department, then because we didn't.
But if
We
we,
didn't line item, but we didn't line item, excuse me,
But
sir, I think I have a question. Mr. Chair.
you're out.
Spending my time. Okay. My point is, Kevin, that we can't, I don't know that we can necessarily waive those fees for other departments, and it might be easier for us just to say that we have that money until we start on line item voting on specific budget points next year.
So what I would recommend is,
Sorry.
since this gentleman's asking for $500, if we waive the street closure fee, so we eat that, that's 150. The difference between, the park fee, excuse me, the park fee is 150. So if we waive the park fee and we have the ability to do that, then 500 minus 150 is 350. So what I would recommend is that we waive the park fee and then give this gentleman $350.
I stand with my motion.
We're not waiving the park fee because it's a nonprofit, is kind of a moot point.
Right,
Okay,
So
Okay.
it's, what we need to consider is the fact that there's a street closure fee that the town needs to impose of $250. And so if they're asking whatever, we're only giving them, in this
Yeah,
case, we're
I get
only
it.
giving them half.
I get it. Okay, all right.
that's what, is the 350 or the,
It's $250.
so you're gonna
It's
get
street closure fee. I'm just interpreting that this is my interpretation.
Paul motion.
I understand Paul's motion.
All right, I'm gonna clarify Paul's motion for myself. Paul's motion that I seconded is basically gonna cover the street closure fee, so we don't have to haggle with road bridge and everybody else in parks about that, and donate $500 for the promotion of the event.
That's it.
All right.
So we're allocating $250, of the $750 we're giving. BPC is moving that line item or whatever, $250 back to the town's street closure fee.
The black
And then we're
hole
still giving them, we're writing a check for $500.
And to further on that. June.
No.
Okay.
Who's asking questions?
So to further on that, I think that it's become more expensive to operate events in the last several years. We've stayed with $500 forever, and then we add more fees to our continued fees. I think it's time for us to consider if we want to continue having this borough race in Georgetown. Not somewhere else.
Is that like pony up or in this case?
Yeah.
Promotions committee, probably, yeah, that.
Any other discussion? The motion has been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
So are you clear on what we just did?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got $500 free.
But just real quick, any kind of social media or promotional stuff, if you could send it to the events email, it's
Sure.
being monitored, and then our new marketing events coordinator will pick it up the 15th.
15th, and then, yeah.
And she's very, I'm sure the first thing she's gonna jump into is social media and the Memorial Day weekend events.
It's great to have her attend one of our Zoom meetings and, give her.
And she's here, you can speak to her.
Oh, I think it's-
Oh, my bad. We're gonna get lost, yeah.
So obviously share any information you can with county tourism, but.
Yeah.
Events person, which is a different Jessica than the one that's here.
That's confusing.
Yeah, we did that.
Sorry.
So you have our events at Town of Georgetown, just send all the information and we'll make sure that it gets champed to her so she comes out where it's on.
Will do. Okay, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. As an aside, the Gateway Visitor Center has banner space, and then he reached out to me, but I do get to do them through us, one of them, I guess. And
I think forward.
we can help you with, banner and all the stuff that we do anyway, and that might assist you, and then also share.
So how big is the banner space?
Well, we can talk about it. I can do the 8x4, I think, and I can do, and then we have the typical ones, which are what, they're 2x4s. Yeah, the ones that are my ones are 2x4. But I'll give you the specs, and I can even give you, I can even send you a template. to make sure you can do that.
And then what kind of time frame? How, is it not just the day of the event, it's pre the event?
No, I'll agree with that.
Okay.
I mean, we have the town's banners up there, but what we do is we take the town's banners down, we're running an event, or when somebody that we're supporting is running an event, if it's for town, it's perfect.
Is it indoors or outdoors?
Well, there's one, sorry, yeah, the longer one is, taller one's probably out indoors, and the smaller ones are out.
Okay,
But we saw 480,000 people last year.
yeah, okay, so,
So I'll, anyway, director at Georgetown Trust, I don't remember. Anyway, just email us and then we'll get it to you.
Yeah.
I'll write back.
I'll walk out, take some notes and report to the board for this and we'll respond.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve.
Jessica Trivett, letter of intent to join the commission, you're up.
Hi, good morning. Excuse me.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me. Wait, so is the new marketing person also named Jessica?
Yo, Jess.
So she goes by Jess. So you have to be Jessica, okay?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. That's wonderful. I find that Jessicas are a good group of people.
Good.
So initially, so thank you for including me in the agenda. Initially, I had just wanted to kind of present some ideas I had when the marketing position first opened up. I had thought about applying for it just because I had so many ideas and was so excited to share them with Georgetown and with the business promotion committee. And it all worked out great. Like I wouldn't have been able to take a job or anything like that. So I'm excited to be able to present the ideas. But then while I was talking to Rick and Jen about it, they said, oh, there's an open position. And so I thought about it for a little bit and thought it'd be nice to apply for the Board of Promotions, Business Promotions Commission's position. So what I would really like to do is just kind of starting with some ideas. And I do want to preface this by saying we're fairly new to town. We came up in September, and even though we're from Colorado and familiar with Georgetown, I appreciate that we're still new to the community. So anything I say that's already been done or redundant to what you're currently doing isn't intended to be an insult. I'm just not aware of everything that's going on and all the work that's been going into things. So please excuse me if I kind of step on anyone's toes with any ideas or suggestions or anything. So I am really interested in focusing on kind of community growth. And that was a realization I came to as I was also kind of brainstorming ideas around marketing. So I'm really interested in, like the committee, business growth, but also how that's measured. I should have submitted my resume and it didn't occur to me to do so until this morning, but I currently work in data for the Colorado Department of Education. But so my background is in data and some analytics. So I'm taking a 6-month certificate course in analytics that really focuses on how you measure like growth and volume, and then, do projections out of that and also brainstorm ideas out of that. So I would really like starting July 1st with the approval of the board. Should I be on the board, or also I could do this while not being on the commission, excuse me. But to kind of start a 1-year analysis of how business is impacted by events, and general like seasons, and start measuring that. I think it would tie in well with the new marketing position, and I could work closely with her to kind of, do analytics around this and start building projections and ideas. And additionally, as far as community growth goes, that's kind of like a separate entity to the analytics piece of it. But I'm just really interested in how the community supports business and vice versa, and ideas around that. And one idea that I did want to share that I could definitely wait until the new promotions person comes aboard, but is I had looked into, there's a lot of apps and companies that do scavenger hunts, tourist-based scavenger hunts. And so you could, shoot, I forget the name. There's a Colorado town that did one. And so I wanted to reach out to them to see how successful it was. But there's a variety of things you could do, like the historic tour, outdoor activities. I have a whole list of ideas around scavenger hunts like that. So what I would like to do in this regard is at the next business promotions commission, come back with a list of how much the various apps cost and various plans for scavenger hunts. And I feel like that's kind of a low hanging fruit for engaging tourism and locals to just walk around the town and do stuff. So the two things that I am proposing is that I join the business and promotions commissions, and then the two projects I have outlines for by the next meeting in June would be an outline of what an annual analysis would look like beginning July 1st, and also kind of a rough outline and cost of potential tourist scavenger hunt apps.
Great, thank you for your presentation. Any commission members have any questions for Jessica or observations?
I like your ideas and enthusiasm for sure, and appreciate your willingness to step up. Just to kind of back up and do a high level here, we have one vacant position currently, correct, or two?
We have two.
And our code allows us to have, oh, I'm sorry, like 1, 2, I think, non-owner operators
And an alternate.
on the commissions.
I'm sorry,
I didn't get it.
I can't. 7 members, correct? Plus an alternate.
Right. But we obviously need,
Who are we? Who else are we missing?
we
Kevin,
lost,
Justin, Amanda, Paul.
we lost Katie and Kyle, remember at the end of last year?
Did they serve as one person?
No. Last D. So, yeah.
Well, I'm looking at the code, this is 7-member plus an alternate.
Right, and we only have,
We have Kevin, Justin, Amanda, Paul, Mary, Craig.
okay,
That's 6.
But is that counting Mary's as the board of selectmen?
Yes,
Okay,
but
okay, then we.
that is one of the 7.
That's one of the 7, okay,
Yeah,
okay, my bad.
that is one of the 7.
So we have one vacancy.
One vacancy. Now, is Gary still an alternate?
He's
yeah,
a-
alternate, and wants to stay an alternate, so.
Okay,
So we have a full-time position,
well,
I don't know what you call it.
I guess you filled the
Part-time.
last one, obviously,
yeah,
so, yeah.
well, I guess part of me wonders a little bit, and it goes to item 2A that we added. In terms of participation, we're sitting here with just enough for a meeting right now. I guess, having seen Gary at one meeting since I joined, and I think Justin at one, is it worth reaching out and making sure that those guys want to remain in those roles?
I think we have, and I don't think we got a response.
I don't think I've reached out to Justin, did I?
Because
I can again.
our question was whether he wanted to, just stay on as.
Correct.
Yeah, and then Gary's term also expired and we asked him and he said, yes, he wanted to continue. I don't know if he did it in writing. I don't know if he wrote that responded for
He
me.
doesn't want to stay on as an alternate. He likes that opportunity, yeah, but unfortunately, as an alternate, you know, we haven't seen him for the last couple of months. And we've had a couple of people express some interest and we have Jessica who's
Here,
here and wants to be in. I'd like to make a motion to recommend to the Board of Selectmen that Jessica Trivets be appointed to the Business Promotions Commission.
second,
And I will just add as a point of discussion for the record that we still, by doing so, still cover the minimum 3 business license lives nonprofit holders required. Yeah,
I have one comment for Jessica. When I heard your presentation and read this letter, right away it jumped off the page to me that you were basically wanting to be a consultant for free. You know, so I'm very excited about that offering. I think collecting data is great, and I think that's the next step in our growth. We do a lot of things on faith in this community. We believe that special events are the thing to do, and that the benefit will come over time. But that's just a belief. So to capture data to show us whether that's true or not, I think is very important. So I appreciate that offer. All right, we've had a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, so we'll pass this along to the Board of Selectmen and they'll vote on it and we'll let you know how it goes.
thank you for being willing to serve.
hey Jessica, I'm really excited that you're gonna join us, and I think that your ideas are wonderful, and also don't worry about stepping on toes, because you might go, we've done it before, we've done it this way, or we've done it that way. You might get that, but still push forward, you're gonna be great, and I think being part of the commission is the way to do that, and the way to implement your ideas. Thank you for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
No, Paul won't be
I
alone.
was planning on staying on for the remainder of the meeting. That's all right, right?
Oh, no,
Yeah.
we value your, you know, engagement with this commission and certainly, you know, jump in with your 2 cents as a pending, you know, member on the official act of the board. So you just can't vote today.
That's fair. All right. Well, thank you very much. I will hang out on here. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, thank you. So I guess we're to number 3, which is, yes, go ahead.
We finish up 2A real quick.
Yeah, and one thing, I think because you guys, pardon me, but because you guys have nonprofits, you guys, they get a business license.
Just
That I throw there.
three of the 6 non-selected members have to either be associated with a nonprofit that has a presence in the Portage County or have a business license.
So that's something that I've always had trouble with, and we probably need to, it's specific in the language, right? Because I've read it in a minute. Since we're on this topic subject,
Yeah,
I've always had issue with that, because I don't think it needs to be, because there are a lot of people who are business owners who are not business, they're not operations or business directors. And I think that perhaps we should approach the selectmen to change that. It's really insulting to people who operate organizations who don't happen to hold the license, to remove them from their ability to actually be the people on the ground speaking about what's going on. They may not have, well, here's the deal. Some license owners might say that they have skin in the game because it's their loss. It's the same thing for the person who's managing the business. The business fails, they're out of a job. They have no future. They will get no assets from that business, and they usually don't have any assets coming if the business succeeds. So those people sometimes have more skin in the game than the people who actually own the license. And I think that rule is beyond, it's short-sighted, and it's showing the number of people that we have sometimes show up and are in here. I think it's short-sighted, it's classist, and it's insulting.
or you suggest, sorry, the class before that.
Is that,
So may I suggest that we look at the specific wording of the code
Yeah.
at our next meeting
Yeah,
and make those recommendations?
yeah,
My God, we try to revise those codes when needed.
Yeah.
We should be doing it all the time.
no, that's my point, is I would like to get it and get that into the process, because it's something
And
that
since,
I forgot that it's actually. a
since
thing
our
there.
esteemed colleague is drafting another recommendation for our, for the next meeting on the workforce.
Clarify what you're saying now. What you're saying is,
In a man's-
you shouldn't have to be a business owner, you should, let me read the language. No less than 3 members of the commission shall be current holders. No less than 3 members of the commission shall be current holders in good standing of a town business license. Or officers or employees of a nonprofit which maintains a physical presence in the town. Now. I think the simple change to that language is to add,
Business
officers or employees of a current business holder in
Yeah.
good standing,
That's it, that's fine,
right?
yeah,
I mean, effectively, that's,
that's right, yeah,
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right,
it just needs to be an operator, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever, you can be a manager, you can be a director, whatever.
okay, that's
Authorized
right.
agent.
I think this is how we practice.
Because I'm an officer, title, but for a long time, you didn't have the executive, you were on this commission, you didn't have the executive director title. So you fell under it as an operator, but I'm, now that executive directors are legal, we're officers of our companies, like the board, and so. That's a slight distinction, but it's a definite distinction, and the code mentions that it's problematic. Anyway, I've always wondered, and I forgot to look at that language recently. So I think that'd be great if we could look
Oh,
forward
it's
to it.
actually pretty interesting to read when getting into it. I mean, it is.
No, it's,
That, but it's a bunch of volunteers trying to make things work with an attorney to help them, and I completely understand that, and every now, I'm constantly reading the light code for some reason.
yeah, it's really, you tend to only read the code when there's like a proposed, like, I think we should do this, and then you read the code and go, oh, wait. Oh, really, at about 9 out of 10 things like that. But,
But it'd be nice to be a little bit more proactive. Isn't it?
yeah, sure.
Yeah,
And
it's why complain if you can't fix it.
Yeah.
it's how we practice, I think, generally anyways. I think that's, all right, we'll just do a single ordinance that addresses both topics for the board.
You're gonna do it, yeah.
This time.
Okay,
And then you, Paul.
anything else before we move on? Okay, so we're up to appoint vice chair for the commission. We had a little discussion.
Wait, are we?
I think we're still on 2A.
No,
To a meeting attendance?
well, yeah, okay, so I think we, when we have unexplained or unplanned or unexpected absences. More than a couple of meetings, whether it's an alternate or a regular member, I think we should have a conversation with those members, because the reality is we're only as functional as our attendance and our input. And an alternate member, in my opinion, does not mean you don't have to come to meetings. That's not the definition of an alternate member, is you show up if you want to. The definition of an alternate member is you're engaged with the conversation and prepared to step in the absence of a full member. That's the definition. And so I think we should have conversations, or a conversation about how we address those, or have a specific set of procedures which we're allowed under the code to establish for ourselves. And say, hey, listen, you missed 2 consecutive meetings without a conversation with Jen or somebody letting us know, then, subject to, the promotions commission have a conversation about it, we may need to recommend your removal or
Or
replacement.
say things, but yeah.
And it's not intended to be a diss on anybody or anything else. The reality is, so we have to be functional, and functionality comes with having quality, regular, meaningful attendance at meetings.
I agree 100%. And last month I wasn't in attendance, but it was an excused absence by the chair.
Did you have a note?
And we,
No, it was working ahead of time, and I'm just putting this up on purpose, because those of us who show up, I was late today, I'm never late, we're never late, I'm never late personally, and I'm not really late. All the stuff, it's just insulting, there are people, we have people sitting in the audience who are waiting for us for that one, but just not showing, having 3 or 4 of us, and now we don't have a forum, and we had people in the past who were here for you never saw them for a year or 2, it's hard, then you can't get somebody who wants to like do an entire analytic job for us for free. So,
Totally agree.
you know.
We do a roll call monthly. But is there like a performance scorecard that the town keeps about things like attendance?
No, I mean, I could track it if you wanted to know.
I think that's
We
would
did
be
look at
interesting
that.
information.
We did look at that within the last year or so. It didn't take a lot of specific action, but
Challenging.
that there was an issue with lack of attendance and what, we probably should have been a little bit more assertive in our actions, so.
Yeah, if we say
Take
that,
care of itself a bit.
because if we say that the
It's
rule
in there.
it's in there. If we say the rule in the code is strictly enforced, right, and then people start, if they're getting to where the point, and then you would step in. And say, hey, you're in danger of not being on there, so that you can do about it. And then the way we can track it is, can we put a board up in here with little gold stars? If you
Sure, yeah.
I just think that if we have the rule, like Eric's saying, if you have, like any job, if you have the rule that's established there, then at least somebody can go, no, we have to do something about this.
Yeah, this is a community service function, it's a privilege to be appointed, and you're not doing anybody any favors by being appointed, you're committing to do a community service, and it needs to be viewed in that light, and not just as a means for you to make sure your business's voice is heard. And when you lack regular attendance, it's more like you're just there to make sure if anything comes up that affects your business directly, you have a voice in that. That's inconsistent with, you know, the community service aspect, right? So we can address it in more detail next meeting, but I would, if the chair would reach out to, you know, Justin and Gary, and just find out whether they're willing to actually be active.
Yeah, no problem.
Yes, that would be great.
The other concern I have, besides not having a quorum, is when there's an interruption and you miss a meeting or two or more, you're sort of out of the loop. You don't know, you know, the conversation. You're missing huge portions. You don't know what's been covered. You don't know what's been approved, what's been eliminated. And so that concerns me. That's not a well-informed person who misses a couple of meetings and then tries to get up to speed. So, great. Okay. All right. Anything else? May we move on to number 3?
Let's go for it.
Okay, appoint vice chair for the commission. So this is related to the conversation we just had. I guess we need to table this until we get a response in writing from our current vice chair, whether he wants to.
I think that's right. We
Yeah, okay.
we talked about that last month.
Okay,
And,
sure.
the fact that we, you know, haven't heard anything and he's not present right now, and we know that we need to have that ability to
Consistency.
have that position. I know I talked to Amanda, who normally would be
Right.
here, who is interested or would be willing to be the vice chair, which I think is a good fit to assist you as the new chair, but she's willing to step into that role. So, unless there's any other interest from any of the members of the commission, I'd like to make a motion to recommend or to appoint Amanda Cooper as vice chair for this commission.
Second. Any discussion? All right, it's been moved and seconded. Let's have a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Wayfinding, that's me.
Okay.
So you will have a proposal. You'll remember that we broke our long list of potential signs down to group A, B, and C. So this is group A that we're looking at. And so I met with Paul of House of Signs in person. We've had several phone conversations. He came out and with a boom truck lift and inspected the historic Georgetown aerial sign over Argentine. So he's done all his homework, and this is where we are at the moment. So take a minute to look at this. Down here, where you right here. There you go. And once you've had a chance to read this and form some opinions, I'd love to hear them. And don't get hung up on the tax. I'm gonna ask you, Jen, if you could, please provide House of Signs a tax exemption,
Sure.
certificate
Okay.
that they can just keep on file, because this will be important not only for this project, but for the future project.
Okay.
Who would like to
So I was
start?
thinking that they would give us. Mock-ups to. Right.
Yes, yes, I would want to see, yes,
Production. Right.
I would like to see, you know, the shape, the size, the details, the colors, all of it. Just to make sure that it follows the branding standard that was established. And so, yeah, he's taking our temperature before he gets too invested, and then we go, oh, we're not gonna do that.
Yep.
So that's the point that we're at, folks,
This
is
was, and these were our priorities.
these were the priorities that we all, yeah, A-list, you got it. And so what I would recommend is, if you look at your agenda, here's our mission statement. If you feel that we have to pick and choose from A, just make sure that your choice maps to this mission. Thoughts? Reactions?
I thought it was the budget.
Okay, fair. That's a
No,
good starting
I
point.
think that this obviously reflects our conversation. In terms of our priorities, and for those who. Are unaware, Kevin did an extensive wayfinding study. We went through a whole 13 or 14. Identified locations for improved signage. We prioritize those, and this represents the top 3 in terms of priority. What is our approach here financially? Are we going to approach the Board of Selectmen for a supplemental appropriation to cover this, since it wasn't explicitly laid out in our budget?
This was done with the anticipation of collecting the lodging tax. And so we have not received that yet. So this is in prep for when those funds start to come in.
So that's a question, Jen.
Yeah.
Just looking at our little budget item here, are we gonna get a revenue line added to this
I can ask Mary.
as a fund?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
yeah, she's available.
Well, we don't have
Not right
to,
now.
we don't have to answer that question right this second,
Yeah,
but my expectation would be that there would be a revenue component added to this budget where we don't have. Right, well, honestly, I don't know why there's not a revenue component in it already. Because we received funding from a business license. I'll talk to Rick and Gary about that, but, and we do have a source of revenue already, so we should actually see revenues. In our budget, which I would expect.
But when we put
It's
our,
gonna live someplace.
when we put our budget together for 2023, we did not include any anticipation for this type of a project.
So
So.
we would be looking for a supplemental appropriation. It would ideally come from the lodging tax. Is what you're saying, which makes sense.
It could, but in this budget, you know, obviously, I mean, you can just look at the, you know, the budget of 35,000 towards special events. There is no way up until this year, we were allocating, you know, that kind of funding, and so those funds are being tagged from lodging, the lodging tax.
Some of these funds are,
Oh, yeah, it was this budget.
How would I know that? By looking at our budget, how would I know that? That's.
Well, no. You know, because we're not seeing, you know, the income from the lodging tax, or we're not seeing that specific business license piece that's, you know, that's in there, but, so,
You guys got the 2 pages, right?
no.
You guys want us-
So the other,
Is this the second? I think that might be the second page to it. I remember maybe the wrong.
Is there
yeah,
a?
this is saying.
This suggested us that we do our.
We've been asked, I've been asked through Mary Sims, that we take a look at our budget in light of our recent salary offer to our new person, that because originally we had allocated a different salary level, and so that we need to realign our budget, and it's perfect timing so that we're looking and incorporating this, if this is our priority.
So my,
Well, it's not gonna happen at this meeting, sorry, but maybe we need to sit down and schedule a special budget meeting and when Mary is also available, so that we can make sure that we've got all the numbers that we need to move on this, and so we know what we've got for the next 7 months.
Go ahead.
my question here though is, these are, a lot of some of these signs, like, you know, parking and things like that, they don't necessarily represent promotions. They could go, my feeling is that they would come from a different budget altogether, and
Right.
so. You know, while we're looking at, you know, shifting our budget to take on the entire burden of this, I think some of it might be wayfinding, some of it might be things that have been historically, have been there for many years, you know, and. One might be complete marketing, which is the sign at the visitor center, and I think that would be the lowest priority of all of them, but the, because it says kind of, it's not great, and you know, fix it at $10,000, that's a very, you know, it's great, sign can be very expensive. But they last, and the thing's been there 10 years, so. That's. While we're looking at this, and when we do meet with Mary, we should talk about the other buckets from which we can take this money so that it's not completely burdened on a promotion organization. That's.
I agree.
I think that's a good observation, Paul, because we had a similar conversation about things that would maybe fit better into the Parks and Rec budget. Like, you know, like a sign in Strauss Park or a sign in Town Park.
Yeah,
That would be more suited to their mission.
And listen, if they want to punt to us in terms of aesthetic and language, so that it benefits, you know, we have a cohesive vision, that's great. But show me where the fund transfer is between road and bridge and promotions, and show me where the fund transfer is between parks, who has a specifically allocated sales tax. You know, show me where that fund transfer is, and then we're happy to spend it. But I mean, I'm just, $24,960 for salaries and wages. This cannot be an accurate budget. There's no way you guys budgeted $25,000 for the year for salaries and wages. I mean, I don't think this is.
I wonder if it, before, remember when they had it, where part of it was coming out of business promotion and part was coming from the town and another, remember that, Mary? I don't know if it's still set up like that or not.
but I think we've already hit the point that we need to have a separate budget meeting to reevaluate our budget, what we were thinking when we were recommended to do it in a certain way at the end of the year, and where we're going forward.
Let's,
Because I think we're gonna just walk in circles, looking at this budget that kind of doesn't represent what's happening.
can we plan that for the first meeting in June, or for the meeting in June, and specifically request, and maybe plan a little extra time, or remove some other items from the
Sure.
agenda, but specifically request that Mary and Rick be there for the entirety of that meeting, so we can have the conversation in a meaningful way and get the information out.
Let's just do UPC for like an hour and then get into the budget for the second hour.
Yeah, that's.
Or extend the meeting and make everybody aware that they're gonna have an extended meeting, because June is 4th of July.
Yeah, I agree, we're gonna have a lot of conversation, and we're gonna be bringing our new person up to
Yeah.
speed, so there's gonna be a lot more conversation, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
On this specific topic though. What do you need from us in order to take a meaningful step forward between? Just that, yes, this is what we talked about, and now you can move forward with maybe specific design, and then you tell them that we're in the
I
process.
would rather have a talk about what we can afford in case this group A becomes smaller. Before sticking him on,
So you want to sub-prioritize this?
if that's what the budget tells us.
Well, the budget, right now, we got $4,000.
Okay, all
So
right.
I think what we should do, I would honestly, if we don't table it for now with him. And wait until we have this budget discussion and wait until we can find out if it goes in other buckets. The other thing is, I don't, I think the financial burden portion of it should not be our part of our discussion. I think that we're recommending organization anyway. And most of our budget goes into the other direct promotional things that we do. And frankly, I do think, and we never, I'm sorry that I didn't speak up previously. But I do think that if we're going to do a promotional sign and however we decide to do it, one needs to be on the drive down from the train. That's a little better of getting people on 6th Street and into the.
That one ended up in one of the other groups.
Okay, then I did have a private conversation with Brian and Mark about, mountain jams, putting more promotion up there. And how we can take advantage of, what did they have, 200,000 riders last year? 250, take advantage of those 250 people, 1,000 people
Agreed. So.
who are here.
Without making a motion, can we just, by consensus, say this represents our priorities in terms of improved wayfinding signage for the town?
Yeah.
And, that will table any specific action until our June meeting so that we can consider it in the context of, our larger budget conversation. Because this budget doesn't make any sense.
Second. And for further, Kevin, what I want to do is just write the guy and say that there was a budget snafu while we're doing it, we're leaning toward doing it. But we need to make sure that we have the funds allocated in the right direction in order to say that yes to you could possibly.
Yeah, I don't want him to start drawing up plans on faith. I'm gonna make sure that.
Yeah.
Well, I think the initial thing for him though is gonna be to go to, I'm sorry, I've been talking too much, to go forward with the graphics. But not the actual design, so he's not pulling out CAD, if it's still used, he's pulling out whatever graphic program he's using, so he's doing something that's actually gonna be the most paid attention to by the initial organization before we go to DRC. Instead of this thing that we're not gonna pay attention to, which is a CAD drawing instead of graphic.
Okay, so clarify for me, do we want him to come up with drawings?
I'm gonna come up pretty pictures, right?
No, I would say yes, and
Okay.
we do have a little bit of money for signage
Okay.
in the budget, if he wants to charge us, he could be like, Kevin, I'm gonna need. $500 in order to do a mock-up
Yeah.
of these. Really, he's only talking about 4 signs that he's gonna mock
Well,
up.
really just two, because the parking lot signs are all relatively identical.
You're right, so maybe
So it's one design,
we want that available for our presentations
The
to
two,
stakeholders.
yet to
But it would
two.
be really nice if he can just hold on to that and roll it into the.
Yeah,
final.
Which he probably can, we're pretty good at this stuff, so
Yeah.
we buy expensive stuff.
Yeah,
Everybody does.
okay. So what I'm hearing is that I will get back with Paul at House of Signs and have him go ahead and start to make drawings, designs for the public parking and for the welcome center sign, correct?
Yep.
Okay, done. Okay, very good. All right, we're up to number 5, recommendation of code revision for historic commercial district, Mr. Abrahamson.
I have not, I've finished the research on the external illumination question. I did not put the language together for that though. I will have that for next meeting, as an action item, recommendation for reflection for language change. And I'm gonna include the language change for the same ordinance that we just talked about in terms of the membership element as well.
Okay.
So we can do that in one ordinance,
Great,
but I will get that done for next month.
thanks for looking into that. Hello, Mr. Carublian, Town Administrator, you're up.
Wait a minute, are we not, I have a question about Memorial Day, so I'm sorry to go back to point 1, back to 1.
Well, do we have a conversation about? I guess we don't.
No, we don't.
We did audience business, we didn't do.
No, we did, new and unfinished number 1, Steve Enderhus.
Right, but we didn't really talk about the weekend.
Is there anyone to talk about?
Yeah, there is, actually, because I've got mountain jams, I'm so
Okay.
sorry, I didn't see
Can
today.
we tack that on right at the end?
Yeah, of course we can do it.
Okay. So,
No, wait.
Okay, so we'll make that 12
sure,
Memorial Day.
okay, so,
Should I
Go for it.
I read that on my mind this morning.
okay,
I read it saying,
So most of us were part of the whole interview process except for Paul. But I'm sure you've heard updates.
Who hosted us though?
Yeah, that's true. You did host. And we love the facility, so I really appreciate all you did for us.
Thank you. The Georgetown Trust is very happy to provide this facility to the town and to work closely with you toward our common goals.
That's a good spirit. So it was a great process. Honestly, we kind of, were able to kind of see from the very beginning, even from my perspective, the phone screenings, who were the top tier candidates. And then even in interviews, we had one that really shined bright. It was a dark horse. His name was Colin, and he did fantastic. But then as the interviews progressed, it was clear who were the really top tier candidates. And so we chose, kind of unanimous decision, I felt like, Jess Edwards. She is out of Denver and she was fantastic. So she had everything that we wanted in a candidate. She had great marketing skills, social media skills, and she had done events as well. And so she kind of had checked all the boxes for us. I did make her an offer, but then went back to change her offer because after realizing the kind of candidate she was, the majority of those who were in the same category had dropped off. And because of salary was so, and listening to, I asked questions, why did you drop off? And it was consistent, the salary was too low for the area that I'd have to go. And so I was afraid that, well, we were afraid that Jess was also interviewing other places and that she's most likely going to get snagged if we don't do something drastic. So we made a decision collectively to offer her we did initially start at 45, but we changed it to 50. And after 3 months, raised it to 55. And then January to put it at 60. And so she was thrilled. She was really excited about that and very confirmed that she wants the job. She verbally committed. And then we just had to figure out the dates for her to come. Originally, we said June 1st to be here in person. However, after talking to the team, we kind of need her sooner than that.
Yesterday.
And so she does have a broken leg. I think it's broke actually in several places.
Yeah.
But she's going through rehab and all that stuff, but she can begin working remotely by the 15th. So that will help us kind of get some of these events that are ongoing and upcoming. And she can start doing some social media and other marketing, getting our website back together. So she's really going to go after that. And she's excited about that. But and then I'll just pause there because I believe Mary has also spoke to her, and we're gonna try to. She's gonna try to come up soon, and then we're gonna talk to her and kind of show her things and then set some expectations of what we're looking for as far as the marketing stuff online. So I'll let you.
Only via email and just very briefly, but I did have a conversation with Amanda a couple of days ago. It was all in Spanish because she was in Spain. I didn't understand a word she said. But she's coming back on tomorrow and she knows the expectation is that we will meet with Jess shortly after she comes on board on the 15th and with all the boxes. Here you go, sweetie.
Passwords and
Yeah,
everything.
exactly, yeah, and get her off and running, so.
And we have all that information gathered in a place where we can pass that on to her.
No, but we will,
Yeah.
you know,
If you only.
yeah.
I have a thought, because since she's like town staff now, will she be taking the minutes for this meeting? And stuff, and she'll be here and just keeping track of everything anyway, I mean.
I don't think her role includes that capacity as minute taker, so I would say no, sorry.
No, I was just curious, I was thinking there'd be two staff people here that.
He would be more as a participant, you know, watch my commission member, but not really. But her role isn't-
Yeah, and we just.
Okay.
We can have that conversation with her, but I tend to agree with Mary that having her be able to interact with And not that you don't, and you provide a lot of useful input because you're listening and you've been doing this a while, so you can do both things. Yeah, that would be an interesting conversation to have, and I suppose one we can have down the line, but I would say especially initially that we want her to be able to kind of focus on content as opposed to. Yeah.
Rick, continue.
And so now the next thing I'm working on is an assistant. And it's posted on our website, but this week we'll post it on other bigger, websites like Indeed and CML and CCCMA for the assistant position. So
Assistant to
assistant to me,
Okay.
yeah, that will be, it'll be technically called an assistant to the administrator, but will be groomed to be the assistant administrator. Based on what their experience and qualifications are. So I would love to dream with this position and also kind of consider it as a developmental position that typically assistants in communities don't last long because they get developed and then they spin out. Knowing that, I think that we want to take advantage of that so that we can use them and start helping train people up that want to go higher levels. And so that will be something that we can take pride on, launching good administrators, but also taking advantage of that time that they're here. Instead of being frustrated, knowing that, oh, we can't keep them. No, let's build that in mind, that they will be here only temporarily until we can launch. So that's the way I'm taking this. And, but that will hopefully be by June 1st as well, somewhere around that time. And then we'll do some staff training with everyone with a new team kind of thing. Okay. Those are two big things that I'm working on. As far as related to this, streets we're gonna start doing some inventory and figure out which ones we're gonna go after. We're not gonna wait till the end of the year to do any kind of projects. We're gonna do those immediately, so during the summertime. So we're gonna go through that, me and Scooter, and start working on. I know one of the things he wanted to do was redo the curbs around downtown. So we'll kind of see how that falls on priorities with other streets that are in really bad condition.
Sidewalks, downtown, no, I mean, extending 7th Street and stuff. Part of our business district, we have 0 sidewalks on 7th Street, we have very few sidewalks going north-south along Argentine and Rose Streets and.
Sorry, I'd like to also echo sidewalks. We walk all the time with our daughter and it's really hard. It's a very walkable town, not pedestrian friendly.
Yeah, that's true.
Gotcha.
Yeah, good.
So North Argentine, I know that that's a big project that we're anticipating, but we will not do any construction until next summer. So because that's straight, big roads, roundabouts, all this other kind of stuff that's become much bigger in scope. But I wrote that down. We'll look at that too. So thanks for that comment. Excel, that one is still another very interesting one. We're still meeting and trying to discuss them coming up with solutions before they start doing stuff, because everything that they're doing, they want to close the forebay and decommission the dam, which means they'd like to remove it, bring it back to natural stream, remove the penstock, and they would like to remove and take all responsibility off the energy museum too. So we've talked to them about not, would you consider doing other options such as giving it to somebody? But now we're looking at other options of saying, what would it take to preserve the whole thing? And not just let them decommission it. There are other groups that do that, they come in and take over. So that's an option that we're gonna strongly consider doing. So, I mean, it's part of Georgetown's heritage, it's contributing structures all the way down.
I would like to articulate that I believe this commission would be very supportive of maintaining the integrity of that entire asset, as a whole.
Yeah.
Because it represents a significant historical and cultural resource for this community that I think has only grown in importance over the last decade.
Yeah.
So
We will be able to see that vertical, not the.
Yes.
Yeah, you got that, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Well, I think that that's been the sentiment that I've heard the most recently is, let's not let them do this. You know, why are we not fighting to try to at least,
Yeah.
you know, like, at least bring somebody else in. If we can't do it, then bring somebody else who can take over the whole system to keep it a hydro plant in operation. So, that's something that we're looking at now, that just came up recently.
Watching heads explode in Excel right now, just.
Yeah, they don't know that.
I do think that we need to get the word out, that they are meeting at the old school on the 28th, correct? And they're taking public comment. And I think that, and the only reason I remembered it is because we were looking at our dates and what we're doing. And so, I think that the town, I believe it's this month or is it next month?
No, it's just not me.
Oh, that's done.
It might be this one. Look, double check the date, because I'm terrible at that.
Okay. I was like, geez, those guys.
But it's got, double check the date, but I do think that we need to get the word out that it's happening, and I think that my company will do the same thing, and then if we're getting all social media, and then even. Getting out posters or something, and if you need assistance with that, we can add that to, we have nothing to do, so
I
we'll
think
add that.
it's the 24th, but I don't have.
I think it's
the time.
24th, but I have to look into
Yeah.
my like booking program, to be honest with you.
And Jen, whoever knows, get it to Jen, and Jen sends it out to
Yeah,
BBC and the town
sure.
email too, was a good one, newsletter list.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so, and that's kind of in different categories of how we're dealing with this. The town is focused mainly on the watershed protection permit and the allowance, but we have not allowed anything at this point. They have done work without approvals, and we're trying to stop that because they are contributing negative impacts into our system. And so that the changing of the penstock drastically changed. And then now they want to do, replace their trash rack that's 1-inch pole screens to a 3-inch pole screens to allow more sediment and everything else to go through. But we have not allowed that change, and they're getting nervous because of the spring runoff and the amount of water that builds up in the reservoir, and they're saying that it's catastrophic that can knock the dam over, which is not the case. It's really a financial situation. They don't want to do the financial because they kind of leaked it out. So we learned it was more financial.
Leaked it out, no pun intended.
Well, there's also a bunch of 19th century mining sediment at the bottom of
Yes.
that pond that's gonna be disturbed, that's gonna totally change our water quality that's in
15
right
feet
now.
to 20 feet of sediment. So yes, I agree. And we don't know what's there.
Really is cold.
So golden, then there
A
are
lot of signs, things like that.
Yeah, so that's that, but there's water quality, there's hydrology, the changing of that. And then there's the history
Yeah, that's-
that could potentially be lost. And the effect of this museum, which is really the only one in the West that's really perked up to be energy focused and how the West spread and the energy spread to the West. So it's really sad to me. We would potentially lose that. So we're not gonna just sit idle. We're gonna go hard and fight after this. So that's that. I was in a conference all last week and it was phenomenal. I just have to say, I'm excited.
It was nice at the readers.
It was, no, I mean, that's funny. No issues, no one calling about things.
What was the conference about?
It was a city and county managers association conference.
That's right. Inspiring.
They are, but this year's was focused on having healthy environments, that your staff environments, your team, and mental health. You know, really focusing on the leader this time, which was different, because this is my third one I've been to, and it's usually not that way. It's usually like, hey, how to build better streets and, you know, DEI focused, and, you know, those are good things. However, this one was, we need to focus on the leader and making sure that you guys are empowered. And, but here's what's fascinating about it is when you look at healthy paradigms, you also recognize unhealthy paradigms in your own life. And so that was what I needed, was to recognize and say things need to change. And so I've spent a year now and I'm amazed of what I've learned and processed over the last year. And I am blessed to be here. I know you look over blessed. But I am so thankful to be here. I love our staff. I love our community. I love everything about Georgetown. What a privilege that we all have to just go outside and take advantage of this assets that we have. And so thankful that, however,
And you're gonna say that.
things are gonna change.
Please do not tell me that you're looking for a work-life balance. If you are, I can engage you in a lot of volunteerism that you can do as your life part. That's fun. And it's engaging and it fills your heart.
I'm interested.
You'll see your family eventually.
Yes. So, but I think it's time now to start implementing some new things.
Sure, cool.
And I am ecstatic to be able to be part of
That
this.
was what you got.
Yeah. It's time.
Excellent, that's.
May I ask you 2 questions?
Certainly.
I don't want to get into one of them at all. I just want to know status that I haven't seen anything. Where are we at getting our money from the county? And what we're doing with it?
Lodging tax?
Yes.
Okay, so the context is, letters have been sent to the Department of Revenue, where the Department of Revenue will officially stop collecting July 1st. And that's where it starts.
And then the back taxes, we don't get anything from that.
No,
No, but we're getting our lodging
Yes.
tax, our,
we're collecting right now.
Oh, that's right, we collect right now, so,
we've been collecting all along.
and so it's up to the business owners to sue the county if they want their money back.
That's-
I know, okay, so we did our bit, and it's ending for them, and then we're in our part with it.
Yeah, and the Department of Revenue does not consider it that way. They consider it as, these are our official turn on and turn off dates, period. If you make it within this time, this is when it turns off. If you don't make it this time, here's your second option. That's it.
And
So,
those monies actually didn't come from the businesses, they came from their visitors. So,
Correct.
Okay.
yeah,
So
so
it's up to
then,
them to
I
decide.
was saying, so even a lawsuit would be, you have to have standing and they're not.
They don't have standing, it's actually the people who pay the tax that are
Correct.
standing. Okay, correct. Okay, thank you, Mike, that clarification. I'm glad that it's happened, good job, thank you for making it happen, I wish it didn't take so long, but I know it's government, so. Second question is, those salaries that we talked about earlier, those are base salaries plus benefits with it.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you so much, thank you, good job.
I have a question.
Yes,
I haven't brought it up in the context of this group, but I think it's relevant, given our conversations about aesthetic, wayfinding, things like that. The not temporary chain link fence around the Bighorn Crossing project is a detriment to the entire business community, not just those that are neighbors to it. But I will take this opportunity as a BPC member and recognizing that it does directly affect my business. It
It affects us.
It's
is-
awful.
It is awful.
Not only the
And it
fence,
is-
it's a hazard, it's a safety hazard for anyone exiting, this turning from the street, turning from the driveways, that whole pile of soil, whatever you wanna call it, that blocks our lake. Yeah, you're putting it nicely by calling it a burn,
Yeah,
but no,
no,
yeah.
it's. The fence is a particular eyesore and safety hazard as opposed to safety amenity for that project. It violates. It violates a number of ordinances, and so far as it's been up for 3 years. And at that point, you pretty much need a building permit and a approval by the design review commission. It's not just a construction fence at that point. Because there hasn't been any construction activity on that site in at least a year now. The burn causes drainage problems, which is now deteriorating the asphalt at the intersection there by the microtop. You can ask Scooter about that, as those guys go out there and evacuate water from that nasty little pothole. And try and put coal patch in it. There remains a construction porta potty out there that's unmaintained. There's 2 dumpsters that are on enclosures out there that are being used by the townhomes, which was not part of the original approval. And I can go through the list of violations down there with regard to the original land use approvals that established that subdivision, as well as a number of existing town ordinances that regulate whether or not that exists. And it's an eyesore that, like, I mean, I can tell you how many visitors just Cabot Creek attracts down there in a year. And it's tens of thousands, and it's an absolute embarrassment. That does not include people going to microtel, it doesn't include all the people going there. So we're in the order of 6 figures of visitors that frequent that location, and we're showing them that we don't give two beans about our aesthetic.
They mentioned it.
And, you know, and that's just that area. I think everything from 15th to 22nd needs a good long look, both in terms of the town's activities in that stretch, zoning regulation enforcement in that stretch, and just general enforcement of our basic rules of existence.
You're the code person anyway now, right? And some things that were put in, well, I won't talk about that one, but, because they're, you know, even from 15th to Argentine, there are buildings there that are semi-abandoned
At 15th and Argentine?
between 15th and Argentine, but on Argentine between 15th and 6th.
Oh, yeah. Ironically, yes.
One of which I can think of right now. That was a pot grow house for a while. I'm surprised everyone didn't see it when it was legal.
Yeah, and that's his only violation is being used.
Is this the?
But that one's a bit more.
It's a storage unit.
Yeah,
That one.
so, Rob Connell called me this week and said, can we go after that? And I said, I don't have the capacity right now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many
There's some
things.
stuff to do.
However, that will be on my agenda to start working on soon. With, just hopefully within the next few weeks that I will start working. I've got, a house that's beside Lynette's, the one that's right beside that one to the right side,
Dr. Bullock's house.
Koski.
Yes.
Cost.
That's one that we're probably gonna start moving on.
Demolition.
Demolition by neglect, yes.
Well, that works for that one because it's a historic structure.
I know, and then even this other Georgetown Museum building that's, so those are things that it's already in the hopper now to start working on. And then I'll jump on the crazy horse after that one. So, yes, I agree, it's an eyesore. I also agree, I can't stand the berms. Even driving, I went to the Rotary Club this morning, just driving in to see it, and it looks terrible. It looks like a perpetual construction zone. And I'm okay with it during a construction zone, however, his plan is to keep them up permanently, and I
Oh, really?
like that, yes.
It was never,
No,
it was never really.
we're trying to improve the town.
His argument is that it was approved by DRC, and I'm like, I made him take down the others, because he said the same thing, but I was like, no, you're not gonna keep these up. So I don't think he has enough soil in the area, he's gonna have to use them anyways, to push, to make it to whatever the grade level
He
is.
needs to regrade it until he does.
Yeah, so, and he has to move it 8 to 10 feet anyways, because it's in our right of way. For the Argentine North project, yeah, the right.
It's just,
So he has to move it. So my thought is, you spread it to make it so that you can put it to grade level, or are you gonna remove this?
Yeah,
But his other argument is, this is town's dirt that you got out of the lake. And I agree to, help the town so that you wouldn't have to then remove it and send it away, that we would just keep it on site. However, I don't like the berms, I can't stand them, I think it's ugly,
they were,
takes away the aesthetic.
well, prove that we told him to take it out, tell him to prove that we told him to take it out of the lake and that we would remove it after a quorum later, or regrade your section until it's done, or fine you every day until you follow the rules. You have a construction fence, it's not a construction fence any longer, now it's serving as a, we don't have gated communities here, and it's serving semi as a gated community, and it's also destroying the character of the town. Because people are driving by the freeway, and maybe I don't have as many people going as Craig does, but they mention it when they come to that visitor center, they just mention it. And I look down and go, I know they're supposed to build something with it, it's ugly, isn't it?
it's a $10 million investment between the microtel and Cabin Creek, and I've got a junkyard sitting next to it. And here's my last statement on it. If that existed south of 11th Street, it would have been acted on in a week. And the property tax is the same, sales tax rate is the same, and arguably more visitors down there. So it needs to be the same priority it would be if it was sitting right across the street from town hall.
I'm in $3 million.
So anyway, thank you.
Yeah.
I think it's gotten to that point where it needs to be brought up in this setting, because it does in fact impact the visual that the visitor takes in.
That's on mission.
All right, thank you for the update.
Yeah, well,
Anything else? Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jerry. Great job.
Good luck on these new projects.
Oh, good look on the work-life balance.
Let me know that works.
Discussion on creating a workforce support commission aligned with lodging tax implementation. Mary Smith, please. Any updates?
Well, according to our minutes, and I don't want to jump ahead, Craig is gonna put something together for our next meeting.
Yeah, what I didn't do.
Yeah, so,
Completely.
It's okay, Craig. Don't worry. Okay, so we'll table that. Mary Smith, historic home tour, HGI.
so just on behalf of HDI, I just wanted to make it formal that, HDI is bringing back the historic home tour this summer, it's July 29th. HDI is collaborating with the Trust and Plain Air on the 29th to have, part of it will be a joint reception at the old school afterwards. And working on marketing with that between HDI and the Trust. So more just kind of an FYI thing,
What's the date of that again?
the 29th, July.
Says Saturday.
Last Saturday of the month. I know Plain Air, and Paul can get into this if you guys want, but I know they'll be, have more of a downtown exposure with a quick draw and using library stage and perhaps setting up some art in Strauss Park. HDI is only looking at Strauss Park for the opportunity to distribute the passport booklet to the registered guests, visitors, so that they know what houses to go to and what the history is and everything like that.
Has that book been prepared?
It's in the process of being prepared. Now that the houses have been identified. So there's 8 private homes on the home tour. Most of them have never been on the tour before.
Cool.
So that would be a little plus, trying to work out some attention to the Nicel House and use it as a live project and, restoration phase, get in at the beginning, see if we can't get more people to experience being a part of it, similar to the outreach when the old school was pulled back together. So anyway, so that's just kind of an FYI.
I think at this juncture, I'd love to see it, like here, historic home tour and Plein Air together, even though there's separate collaborating events. We don't have the draw for Plein Air because it's more about the artists and it's more of a side thing that we do that brings people up here. It does bring people up here, but not to the level of this. We are going to ramp our advertising efforts with this. We're starting now. We need identification phones and things like that as well, and what we're going to do. But at the school, and we'll be looking toward permitting, and Jen will be reaching out to you since the new Jen won't be here. She won't know she gets so to you about what we need to do to secure Strauss Park. We have Library Park secured. On that day also is a Mountain Jams Day. It just happens to go in a band with it. So there will be music there. There will be 2 bands over at the school, and it's going to take up most of the school for the open house reception combined with HGI's thank you reception to give people a full day and a full weekend experience. If we can possibly do that, I am open to working with anybody who might have a hotel or a restaurant or something like that in town to combine our efforts, and with the training, combine our efforts to advertise, to figure out how we can work on if we're increasing foot traffic and bed stays here, how to increase that advertising, and then minimize negative impacts to the town and positive outreach for future visitation. I've reached out to the train about cross advertising with that. It's part of the itinerary building that I'm trying to do to make small, and I know it's whatever, no, I can't. Small conferences at the school that cross over. If you have any questions or would like to talk to me about how we can work together to do that, we'll start rolling out that our marketing portion of it. I think comes out this week or early next week for the guest part amount of that, and then we'll be working with you fully. But I do think that because yours is so large, and then we have our little impact, we might need to do other things we haven't done in the past.
Seems like it happens.
Oh, we will.
Anything else for historic home tour?
Just.
You're still on Christmas market.
So again, on behalf of HGI and the way Christmas market was expanded last year, we definitely want to have a planning meeting within the next month or so with some key players, the town, the fire department, fire authority, police. Want to talk about the tent, we want to talk about the beer garden. We need to talk about electricity for the vendors at Christmas market, so just kind of putting it out there because I know a lot of the players are here sitting in this room with BPC. So any ideas? We don't, I mean, we can certainly talk about it right now, but just to give you the heads up that that's on the radar
Are we doing a bigger tent too?
and we might, and so we want to talk about that at the planning meeting and what that involves, so Craig and I had a very brief conversation about getting temporary power over there. So it needs to happen, you know, we'll put that together, like I say, within the next month so that we've got all the pieces in place. The hotel, as far as, you know, whether we just go through the procedure and then we did, so,
Safe bill.
yeah.
Sorry, I'd like to make a suggestion. I was thinking something like a warming station for families would be really nice. I know we have a lovely playground down in City Park, but it's just kind of far from the main Christmas market hub. So if there was like a small tent, or we could find a building space, but to just kind of host like an indoor play area for families, or a warming station, so families have a place to just kind of sit and rest. I think that'd be really nice.
Oh, it's a good suggestion, thank you. We'll set up something in the old school. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
That's a great idea.
What's in it for me?
So just kind of FYI.
We've done things, we have tried the old school, and something, that's in the section, but they didn't actually approve, including warming stations and childhood outreach. We did it a few years ago. I'm not gonna hold on to, we did it before, it's never gonna work again, so I'm open to that discussion. I'd love what's in it for me in that, how can I pay for it? But it's something we can put on our radar. Again, it wasn't utilized to its full effect. We did it for several years. And it meant that we staffed it, we did all kinds of decorations, and we did some advertising for it and got like 3 people.
We, and Jessica, for your thoughts and think on this, you know, the library tries to have a lot of activities for kids during that time period, so, you know, maybe we need to just get the word out on that, as, you know, that might be a possibility. So.
And I am the Christmas kid, actually,
There's the courtyard of the library too. Maybe including them in the conversation would be good.
Yeah.
Are you gonna send out an invite to parties that you?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to come up with a couple, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just kind of the other thought, just to get your heads rolling on it, is in a good way, heads rolling, as opposed to the Mayan way.
Or the French way.
Or the French way. Sorry. Would be, there was a suggestion of, so there's no Friday in Christmas market, okay? We tried, not successful, Saturday, Sundays only, first 2 weekends in December. There was a suggestion that has potential as to, in the tent, the Friday night kickoff, kind of a community, local, maybe have some music, have some food, have some
Beer.
beverages. You know, it would be pay as you go kind of thing, but maybe that can help us all get the community a little bit more on the plus side of Christmas market, because
That's a cool idea.
Christmas market tends, you know, a lot of people are like, well, I can visit it any day, why do I want to visit it when thousands of other people are here? Even though it's quite quaint and charming and all that, but, so anyway, so
I like that idea.
those are some topics that, and yeah, everybody, I mean, you don't have to attend, but you'll definitely get invites, and I want to be able to work through that, so. Okay,
It's a great
that's all I
idea.
got, thanks, guys.
All right, recommendation to parks referencing 2023 scope development record.
Okay,
Is that-
that's actually you.
That's
So-
me?
So this.
What is this?
So when Bob Hamilton was presenting to us last month at BPC, and then he came to the Board of Selectmen with collective information from his presentation to us and our feedback and from the Parks Commission, there is a slight disconnect between the keeping of the memorial over at Stroud Park. BPC seems to feel that it has value and Parks not so much. So in the minutes, I think from the board meeting, or Board of Selectmen meeting, there was a suggestion that BPC make a formal recommendation to Park, whoever that, how strongly we feel that
That's
memorial
happened.
needs to stay.
That's happened.
Okay. So.
The last day, the last time we met that afternoon, I wrote that statement. I sent it out to all members of business promotion. I didn't get any feedback, and so it went ahead and was given to DRC.
Well, it was shared, so Bob Hamilton reached out to me and wanted a copy of this to share with Parks. He
Okay.
shared this with Parks. I don't believe that Parks is still as excited in retaining it as we were in doing so. So I
Yeah, it's
think
owned,
it's a formal piece of us saying, please, Parks, keep this in the plan.
it's owned by the state of Colorado. I don't know if they recognize that.
Okay.
And so to do anything with it without the approval of the state of Colorado, I would strongly advise to include them. What I'll do then is, I will try to contact somebody at the state of Colorado and let them know that this monument is in question.
I move that we make a formal recommendation from this body that that monument remain in Strauss Park, as well as your additional outreach on the side, but that we make that recommendation immediately.
Well, the letter's been written, you've all seen it, correct?
It needs to, I'm moving that we as a group recommend to Parks, that we strongly recommend to Parks and Recreation succinctly, that we as a group want that monument to stay.
And I will second that motion if I can suggest an amendment to it that would be, we recommend to both Parks and formally to the Board of Selectmen. Yes, I mean, at the end of the day, I hope to God the Board of Selectmen is the one making the decision about whether you remove what is arguably a historic feature from Strauss Park. I hope that's not.
And you can
just something that, which I guess they would do through the budget process of a certain project, which I have other questions about, but.
So the letter needs to be the direct letter saying to do this, during this round of discussion. Thank you, Craig, for seconding. I agree with Craig. The letter could be an attachment to your letter that your justification letter that you sent to us could be an attachment to the succinct text that tells them what we want.
To give you some context about that monument. It was erected in 1935. Hotel in Paris was still in operation as an operating hotel and restaurant. I mean, this goes way back. It is historically significant.
Yeah.
It was also funded by a foundation. I have not been able to determine whether the foundation that paid for it, the Hall Foundation, whether they are still in existence. No, different. It's a Mrs. J.M. Hall Foundation. And her foundation built these stone monuments around the state. So there are others. I think there's one in either Central City or Cripple Creek. And so this is part of a set of monuments around the state. It's not just flying solo. And it has connections to other groups outside of Georgetown, this foundation in the state of Colorado. So I think to just dismiss its existence is not a well-informed position. So I will continue to gather information, and I will reach out to other potential stakeholders, primarily the state of Colorado, since we know they're in existence. The foundation, I'm not so sure as.
Yeah.
Parks is meeting tomorrow,
Oh, we should go.
so
Okay,
if this could at least be, I mean, if this information can be specifically shared with them. Are you gonna be there? Just so like that they know FYI, I mean, you know, I'm sure.
would you like me to come and read that statement that I wrote? Okay,
So I would like to vote on my movement, and I would like my movement to go into action if we vote positively on it.
I thought we were still in discussion, sorry.
Oh, I see. Well, we're going in another direction. We're talking about the justification, which we all know about, and we're not addressing the fact that there's a movement there. We're not addressing the movement, the motion, rather directly. And that's what usually discussion is.
Are you calling the question?
So waiting, I'm calling the question.
All right.
Should carry my Robert's rules with me.
okay, so a motion has been made and seconded, discussion has been had, let's go ahead for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Just gonna
opposed?
draft it.
What time is the meeting? 6 p.m. here.
We can talk then, Mr. Beasley.
What was the date that you said
So you
the
guys-
sign 1935?
1935 is when it was erected.
Oh, okay, so you got
He's
it.
got all the history, it's a really great letter, actually.
One thing is, if you were, once you get the information, you know, revise this, it includes the history of Colorado, or the state of Colorado.
State of Colorado, not the historical
No,
society,
yeah, no,
it's the state,
yeah, correct.
it's a big deal.
State of Colorado, so that Parks knows, I mean, it's just, I'm
It's
sure it's an oversight.
not owned by the town, it's not owned by the county,
But
it
let's-
is owned by the state.
Let's give the benefit of the doubt,
That's,
we're,
So you're all friends and volunteers for unified goals with different approaches.
okay, so,
Yeah, we might, just very quickly, since we're talking about Strasburg, I am utterly confused by this project phasing and budgeting and like, I mean, it's, I guess it's from a member of the public perspective, I was the impression that this had been scoped and budgeted and funded, and it doesn't seem from this document that that's the case. Like, we still haven't actually approved or allocated funding for this to get it to a place where it's not a gravel pit.
Yeah, I mean, the scope is definitely rude, and we're going after a grant from DOLA to help finish the project. That's gonna be a $250,000 DOLA grant. We've already met with DOLA, and they said this is a perfect project for this kind of thing, because it's already engineered, we've got everything in place, it's shovel ready for them to, you know, be able to appropriate. I don't know, I'd have to do some research, talk to Mary, since I'm still catching up with it too.
It just, no offense to anybody involved with it, but it is moving a lot slower than I think the community expected. And again, it's one of those assets that sits right there at the intersection of what your business district and
I agree.
So maybe when people say they're gonna finish something at a certain time, I'm like, okay, we'll talk about it in 3 years.
all right.
okay, so we're on to, I wish I had more insight.
Well, I think it'd be good for us to occasionally send our members out, and I'll talk to you about this, well, maybe have a meeting, or we can all talk some other time, but, it'd be good for us to start, because things are dynamically changing, we're adding people, it'd be good for us as individuals to occasionally attend and commission them, commissions that we used to, liaise, as Craig said, you know, I haven't been on, since I was chair of parks, I haven't gone to a meeting. And there's something that crossed over, that's a separate thing that's not on the agenda, but the crossover that I heard, you know, a local establishment on the corner up there, and about cleanup day, and cleanup day, you know, could actually switch over, be a crossover event, but because COVID, people haven't heard about it as much as they used to, and it'd be interesting to see if we could, if we start, one of us liaises, and I know that we have to bring for those groups, it'd be good for us, because that actually might tie into some of what we do a little bit, in some ways. You know, it's about beautification of town, about, you know, we're talking about aesthetics and the importance of aesthetics here, so, anyway, I think it would be interesting, if maybe make that recommendation, or, talk about it in the future.
Okay, we're back to Memorial Day and Georgetown Days.
My only concern with Memorial Day personally, or from my perspective of my volunteerism and work with Mountain Jams, and from my library perspective on the I'm on 3 library boards, so I'm on the ownership committee. Is there gonna be music? And that is, we don't usually do much except for the town doesn't really do much, right? Except for there's a veterans thing that we help with. But if there's any kind of staging or desire for music, Mountain Jams is, we've booked every act and we've upgraded the acts this year. We don't have the final act of the year, but we can't do the giant thing at this point. We're not looking at that. It's almost a $5,000 outreach once you do a stage and all the different things you have to do with that one. We're gonna do something equally driven, and then that reduces our marketing, but so we're hitting the real estate market's flattened, so we're about 1 donation below what we were doing last year. We spent about $17,000. The Georgetown Trust donates all the administration, all that kind of stuff to the planning of it, and then you have my volunteers that like cleaning up and doing all the stuff that we do, that I do with that. But the other things that we're looking at, and I wrote a quick emails to like you've been doing the Jen work, the other Jen's work. We got 4th of July coming up. If we want to do anything on the stage, at the very least, we've got to work with the guy who does the sound for the library. We've got to make sure that we are paying the marketing fees and getting a set list for it. If we're doing anything with Memorial Day, anything that happens on the library stage, my company actually helps them because we have licensing. So we do a licensing share between the 2 organizations. Movies at the visitor at the school, and then any kind of music or at the stage. So I just need to make sure that we're not going to do anything, or even if we have a guy with a microphone, you still have to get the guy that runs the sound system for you and gets the microphones and stuff out. And so we're coming up on it, and I just don't want to happen what happened a lot last year, is I'm getting a call on Memorial Day saying, hey, where's your sound people?
I would think as a town, and it's Georgetown Days, and it's the opening of our town, though we have the pancake breakfast on Friday, and Saturday is the borough race in the morning, that we would like to engage some activities and advertising activities. I know Cabin Creek has got something planned on the 27th. I don't know all the details, but perhaps Craig can share with us, but to me, it seems like it's a no-brainer that we would want some entertainment going on in the afternoon.
So it's 150 for sound, it's $60 for
Can music.
it's 150 no matter what. So and no matter what, sound guy's 150, that's what we pay, and that's actually supposed to only be for an hour and a half, but it's Jake and he's a real nice guy and whatever. We ate it for 4th of July last year because they were never billed and my company paid for it. Because I wasn't about to lose the sound guy or get him irked because no one did it for him. And that was extra because it was an all-day thing. We did some things. Anyway, fine, whatever we need to do there. So 750 licensing for each act is 60, but they never come at us for that. So that's the start. If you want us, we can find a band quickly or a group. Do we want to do a local group? They range from $250 for the localist local, sitting alone with a guitar, to our top that we pay for, usually it's a trio, because we can't afford large groups, or we have Amy's band, which is $600, and she has more than 3, because they like to, Amy Scott, who's a really great performer, and she does a variety of music. I know that people book her differently, but we go up to 1,000 as a base, but we're getting, Hazel Miller this year, and it's an trio for $1,000. So that's called that. I don't know that I have the time, maybe like 3 weeks. So if you want me to arrange it, that's great, but I'm gonna build a team for it. Does it make sense? It's out of my budget. It is out of my Mountain Jams budget. That is done. That budget's gone. I can't do a lot of print advertising. I'm doing my base advertising stuff. So we're good. It's gonna be a great event season. We're at 17 people booked.
I'll look at our formal budget for BPC and see if we don't have other, unless you've got it there, you want to pull up the 2023 budget. See, besides donating to the Rural Race Association,
Yeah.
we asked
And the other thing we do is talk with, maybe if we do mountain jams, the best I could do with mountain jams is if I pull it out of that budget, which is gonna take away from like big band,
Yeah,
Yeah, I could, I could do one of like somebody with a guitar there or something like that. They're good, they're great, they're wonderful, they love those and people love them. So it's all up to you.
What's your,
Or I could try to fight, but I've already hit every other huge amounts of money. And, mountain jams, because I have to raise, 10 over, we've raised 15,000 so far for mountain jams. So it's challenging for me to walk up to somebody and go, you want to sponsor damage?
so what's, I mean, what line item are you questioning?
there's.
No, I'm looking at it.
I know, but we do the breakdown of events somewhere.
Yeah, right.
Where everything is penciled in,
I mean, we talked about events here.
What
Where do you want to go?
do you wanna keep going?
And by the way, we have Saturday covered, Saturday covered.
So your pancake breakfast, $500,
That's Saturday.
is 2,000.
For the program.
That's right.
Dollars in our budget. Are budgeted for Georgetown Days.
Okay,
So separate from the pancake breakfast, separate from the borough,
right,
minus the extra $250 that we talked about earlier for the street closure, because we only said 500 there for the borough race.
okay. So we got 1750 to spend on other stuff for that weekend.
So. I'm sure, we've got signage, there's another line item in there for signage and stuff for banners or whatever, and this is gonna be quickly thrown together. Not as professionally maybe as what we did.
So we're at 210.
So do we want to
Are you,
allocate some of that money? Do we want to make a motion to support music on library stage for mountain jams?
Music and if we need MC, so and I don't want to go back to Borough Club because I have no idea what they're thinking.
no, don't worry about that.
So we're at 210 minimum, that's 210 minimum for camp music, so do we want to throw in, do you want to say more, if you want to have a live performer?
Yeah,
Okay, how much do you want? Because I just gave you my range of performer prices.
So,
for 3 days or 4 days.
so how-
No, it's clearly, because it's different things, it's just, well, Saturday's covered, I thought it's Monday we're looking at, right?
Oh, I thought you
It
were
was
on Saturday.
Saturday.
Well, let's add the Saturday then, the 27th, do you want to have more than one performer? I already have Mountain Jams on the 27th.
Oh, you do? Oh,
What about Monday? So you guys have.
We don't do anything, we did 1 year, but people come for the weekend, and the more we have going.
but then again, it's, we're opening up, we're rolling.
You can get us the whole day.
For a few hours, but I'll talk to Dave, he'll probably help me out.
Did you start the motion?
I did, but then
I don't want to send out a money thing because it's gonna be look like I'm trying to get money from something else.
I'd like to make a motion that we allocate.
up to $750.
I was gonna say 1,000.
Okay,
Okay, I will write back.
For the combination of canned and additional canned and live music for the Memorial Day, Georgetown Days celebration.
Sounds good.
And to be coordinated through the trust.
Well, it'll be the Mountain Jams Coalition.
second,
Great.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I have to vote on it, I.
You know that.
You can reduce.
we.
You need to go to forum.
But you do not
By the way, we're part of the Mountain Jams Coalition. Oh.
receive any financial,
I received zero financial gain, or the company that I represent receives zero financial gain. Or salary offset for
so you
this.
do not have.
It's a donation group, we are a donating group to this.
He received.
Yeah, so it's-
Sleepless nights.
Yeah. But people misunderstand this.
Any opposed? No, okay. Well, Bob's gonna mention, we added him to the schedule. He has not, stopped by, so we're about 7 minutes away from. Let's go ahead, let's jump into, approval of last month's minutes.
I move to approve the minutes.
Wait.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
I'm assuming that on your motion that you made regarding the wayfinding sign,
Yes.
was to recommend the board of selectmen.
We could.
Well, that was the question. What were you recommending to the board? Just the the signage, like, program idea, kind of,
If you look at the minutes.
or
of
like
phase
phase
three,
A. And also I was thinking phase A, phase B and all that, I could, instead of just including the numbers, which people aren't gonna know what that means when they go to the bag. So I can include what the address or the location.
Locations.
I was thinking that might be helpful.
Better.
Yeah, I'll do that. I didn't know, do you remember your motion, Craig, by chance?
No,
Do you see where it's highlighted in the minutes there?
On page 3.
I'm counting on you guys to fix that.
No, but Jen and I both tried to.
Yeah, we listened to it, I just didn't understand it.
It's totally, yeah,
So you can.
Where is it?
it's
On
highlighted.
the grapevine sign. Maybe we should. Well, we haven't done it yet, but
So you can say what changes.
Well,
ideas maybe, just gonna say, proposal.
To the board of selectmen to pursue signage. You know what?
Well, we're going to do it still, right? I mean,
yeah, it just,
We haven't
just,
done it
I
yet.
would just go in and say to pursue. To pursue a wayfinding signage
So,
project, program,
project, yeah. Okay.
and then the details will come out, so.
All right.
I think I can see intent.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from April 5th, 2023 for Business Promotions Commission as amended.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, passes.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Yes.
All in favor? Aye.